Sup, bitches?
You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another rant/random thoughts combination. Today I'm going to be talking about some things I've talked about before, but I want to talk about again. So here we are. I guess I haven't talked about this on Random Thoughts, but I have on Red-Eye Raw quite a few times, but not maybe this exact specific thing. But as you've probably heard me complain about a lot, is how everything now is through like an app, and that drives me nuts. Because, you know, like, whenever I used to deal with shit with insurance, with, like, car insurance and shit, if I ever needed to claim or anything like that, I'd just call my local agent, and we'd deal with it that way, right? We had our own personal agents that we could call that dealt with us individually. And that was good, right? That way they kind of knew what you were doing, they had all your shit on file, you didn't have to remember absolutely every little detail, you could just call them up and be like, hey, I need to make this claim, or hey, I have these questions about my policy, etc., etc. Whereas now, since everything has to be through a fucking app on your phone, there's no way to talk to anybody about it. And again, if you remember from last year when I was talking about when I was in that accident and I had to make a claim, it was a pain in the ass for me to get a hold of a real person. I literally had to swear at it to make it actually give me a real person. Because everything was going through an automated fucking phone system, right? So that obviously pisses me off, how everything's an app. For instance, as well, like, through work, whenever you want to do anything at work, they expect you to use, like, an app on your phone to, you know, request time off or check your schedules, or things like that. I don't do any of that. I just do it all on the computer at work, because I don't have to fucking remember, like, my computer login at work automatically, like, lets me just log in to that thing that would normally be on a fucking app. Where I just use the same login as my computer login. Because frankly, I don't like bogging down my phone with a bunch of apps, because frankly, my phone's a piece of shit. Because I'm a cheap bastard and all of my phones have been hand-me-downs. I mean, right now I'm using a Samsung Galaxy S9, which, if you don't know, that's really fucking out of date. I'm not exactly someone who cares about, like, cutting-edge technology or anything like that. I mean, my computer's got fucking Windows 7. The vast majority of physical media I own is DVDs. Now, granted, Blu-ray is my preferred format to buy in now, but I'll buy DVDs all the time still. So I don't exactly care about top-of-the-line technology, and I shouldn't fucking have to just exist in the world, right? But something that spurred this on today ties into another thing with scams, right? Because everything's done through technology, it's really fucking easy to be scammed in this day and age. As you guys know, a couple years ago, I was actually scammed by this guy who was spoofing my bank's information and called me. That was a whole big thing. I was able to get that all taken care of, obviously. Like I said, that was like 2 years ago at this point. But because of that, right, because they can spoof shit, I always get really fucking nervous. Like, whenever I get a notification from my bank that says, you know, hey, there's a charge, I'll always check my bank account and see if the charge shows up, and if it doesn't, I'll go to my local bank branch and talk to them that way. I refuse to do it over the phone, but the part that drives me nuts is sometimes you fucking have to do it over the phone, because you'll go in, and they'll be like, oh, well, you just call this number. It's like, well, yeah, but I'm fucking here. Why can't you do it in the branch? So you'll have to sometimes call the number and have them do that to deactivate your card. Sometimes at the branch I've just been able to do it there, but a lot of the time they want you to do it over the phone even when you fucking go in. And with how easy it is to spoof shit and lie about who you are and how everyone's information is recorded everywhere now, like your phone number, like tons of companies already fucking have that. Your email address has probably been sold to a ton of companies too. Like, it's really common in this day and age. Like, I get scam texts and scam calls all the time. Not maybe as much as I used to. I think it has died down a little bit. But, you know, I still get them pretty, like, every once in a while, like, pretty commonly. Like, it's not like every single day like it was for a minute there. But today, for instance, and this is what sparked me making this video, I keep getting a call from the same number. It's the same number this time instead of spoofing a bunch of different numbers, so I'm like, is this legit? Is it not? And I fucking hate that. But the caller ID keeps saying healthcare. Now, granted, I've looked it up, and apparently that's a common thing people see with scams, but I'm also like, it's not changing the number. A lot of the spam calls I get constantly change their number. Maybe this one's not doing that, but I keep seeing that. It just says healthcare, and I'm like, is there, like, a thing with my healthcare policy. I looked up the number for my insurance provider. It's not that phone number, but is there a different local one that just isn't online? I googled that phone number, nothing's coming up. The only reason it says healthcare on my caller ID is ever since my call filter updated, it gives a caller ID a lot of the time that it didn't used to. Like, it'll actually kind of try to give you one, and it's not always accurate, because one of my former coworkers calls me, and it gives me the complete wrong name, but I know who it is. So, it's not perfect, and that's the other thing, is that it just doesn't really... I don't know how accurate it is, right? And another thing that's, unrelated, but similar, right? So, like, it's not entirely unrelated, but it's not entirely related either, is that, search engines now suck. Maybe I'll do a whole one on this, but I fucking hate how everything has, like, AI things. In fact, yeah, I think I will do a separate video on this, so I'll save a little bit of this for later. But a lot of the time when you use a search engine, it will just give you an AI result instead of showing you real results. Well, it'll do both. But, and I guess the AI is convenient for amalgamating things, but I'm not going to trust it, because sometimes that'll come up with nonsense. And I don't like how dependent on AI we could easily become in the future, because again, I'm not really in favor of automation. It's, I do defend AI art when people get really upset about that, simply because I think there are much more pressing issues with AI, and I think AI art, a lot of the time, like, first off, it's not going to replace real art, because real art is actually better and actually is expressing something, and AI art doesn't even know how to make fucking hands right. As you know, like I said, I defend AI art, I use it in my thumbnails a lot of the time. It's whatever. But when it comes to AI in general, I do have problems with it, because, things could be deep-faked to fake evidence and stuff, and then at some point video evidence is just going to be inadmissible. But if everyone's using ChatGPT and stuff to figure out information instead of actually going to original sources, well then whoever controls that AI can program it to put in whatever agenda they want. I mean, we know Google Gemini already has an agenda. But again, we'll do a whole separate rant on that one. So for now, we're going to shift gears a little bit back to the phone thing, right? Because something that I'm fucking paranoid about in the digital age, right, is I will get, like, let's say hypothetically, I got an email, like, I haven't gotten a lot of these, but I've gotten emails from people claiming to want to, work with me on stuff, and, like, I know that people, once they get to a certain threshold, will get, like, emails for sponsorships and shit. I don't think I've ever gotten anything quite like that, but I have gotten ones wanting collabs, and, like, granted, with collabs, like, I have done collabs with people, obviously, but, I'd never do it through someone who reached out to me through email initially, because, I don't give out my email. Although I do have a specific email I give out to viewers when they ask me about it. So, that said, not something I've seen, but I am always nervous, like, I don't think, like, Ben, I wouldn't take a sponsorship anyway, because this ain't my fucking job. But I wouldn't even know which ones are fucking legit and which ones are just scams. Like, I am paranoid about fucking everything. Like, people want me to, like, if people want to give me money, I'm fucking paranoid to take it. Like, again, not really something I've encountered a whole lot, but it's something I've thought about. Like, I don't think I would be able to trust any of that shit. I wouldn't believe it. Because I'm so paranoid because of how common scams are, and how easy they are to fake, and how there's no sort of quality control on that. And you can get scams in the fucking mail, too, and that goes through the government, through the post office. Like, I've seen fake letters that are supposedly from my mortgage company, but then you look and there's a fine print that says it's not associated with it. Not to mention, a lot of the times it'll have my old mortgage company instead of my current one. So there's a lot of bullshit out there that you'll see, and it just makes it hard to fucking trust anything. I mean, that goes hand in hand, right? There's so much information out there, too, you can't really know what to trust, because there's so many shit that contradicts each other. That's the problem with everything being convenient and at your fingertips, is that you're given all of these choices, and you don't know which ones are real. Everything is so fucking hard to decipher, and you can't trust anything, and I think it is good to know not to fucking trust anything. But yeah, it drives me nuts, dude. Again, everything is so technologically dependent that we're just kind of fucked, and, I fear for future generations, man. Like, it's only gonna get worse from here. People are gonna become so dependent on technology that the second there's a power outage, they will literally fucking die. Like, it's nuts. It's nuts just how much people don't understand shit. For instance, a lot of people don't even know how to fucking read an analog clock. I know that's not exactly something that's, like, non-technology, but, like, that's a simple thing that, like, you would be able to figure out. Like, I think it is a good skill to have, right? Because, you know, you could make a sundial that could function as an analog clock. And people won't be able to figure that shit out, so they wouldn't even be able to fucking tell what time it is without their phone. Like, granted, watches are still a thing, but that's really more of a thing that people have for show. Obviously, there's a lot of enjoyment I get out of technology. But as you guys know, I'm very, like, anti-technology in a lot of ways, even though I fully acknowledge that I benefit from it in a lot of ways. And I use it a lot. Like, there's a lot of shit I use on the internet, obviously. Like, I use the internet all the time. I'm literally uploading this to YouTube. I just worry for things, you know? Like, again, I didn't even have a debit card until 2020. I used to pay everything in cash, and I just had an ATM card that would let me just withdraw it. Like, technically I had a payroll card back when I worked at McDonald's for a couple of weeks before I switched over to direct deposit. Hell, when I worked the newspaper route, I literally got paychecks that were on actual checks. I mean, how many people even know what a fucking check is anymore, other than just as, like, you know, paycheck? Like, I bet you there's a lot of young people that don't even know a check was a physical paper thing. Like, granted, I'm not saying that we need those. In fact, I think direct deposit is definitely better. But I think there is a large problem in that everything is digitized now. That, you know, if ATMs go down, if your credit card just gets shut off for some reason, it's very easy to get fucked over. I mean, the government could shut it off if they wanted to. Like, it's very, very easy to get yourself fucked over, and it's a scary concept. But anyway, I think I've made my point. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a good one. Toodles.
What am I watching? I don't know, but I hate it.
You fucking Mackay are all the same. One little sniff of pussy and you lose it.